Any lineup changes tonight?
Harry's out, Kooks is in, Bjorkstrand's out, Sedlak's in, Bob's in net.
Okay. With Bjorkstrand, is that something that you've seen kind of coming for a little while?
No.
As far as, no,
and I'm not going to go into explanation. Obviously, if he's out, we're not happy with his play.
John, how do you coach confidence with a group? As far as there's many things you can work on, whether it be attitude or positional play, but when a group is struggling a little bit for confidence, is that a bigger challenge for coaches than whether it's a positional type of thing?
You can't draw it up on a board. It's not an X and O. It's an intangible. But we have to try to help them. I think sometimes coaches, and we all do it, you can get mad. You can go about your business and just be frustrated with it. But eventually, it's our job to try to help them find their way. So there's no one particular thing you do. It depends on the player. It depends on the situation. But I think as a coach, when a team is lacking confidence, you try to find ways to help individuals to try to help them find their way. Putting them in certain situations, hoping something good happens for them. A lot of different things you do. But I think a coach has a mindset, and it's human nature to get aggravated when you keep on waiting. But sometimes a coach has to change his mindset too, coaches, and try to help them find their way.
With Alexander Wenberg, he was the other night. He was saying he wants to try and stay involved as much as possible. Are you seeing him trying to make those steps, or like, how's the guy stay involved? You know, just keeping the feet moving. Is that like?
Well, that's the biggest thing for Winnie. I saw Winnie a couple of times take pucks to the net. That's been an inconsistent part of his game. Are his legs, and I think it's probably the most important part of his game. If he's moving legs, taking people on, taking pucks to areas, he has a great ability. If he's doing that, he's bringing people to him, or he's going to people, and other things open up. His biggest asset is his passing and seeing the ice, but he has to take things to areas to have people draw to him, and other things open up from there. So I think that's the biggest, that's the best assessment I can give you, and it's one of his biggest strengths. But he needs to be in those situations more.
John, off of Tom's question, the talk after the LA game was it's got to come from the room, and you're saying it's got to be everybody. Are you seeing guys on the ice though take that step and say, I'm going to be the guy, follow me, let's go? Did you see it in Anaheim, or did you see it on practice?
Yeah, Anaheim. I don't think we played that great. I thought the second half of the game we were okay, but no, I think when we go through all the meetings we went through prior to Anaheim, in a different type way, a different type atmosphere in small groups. It's trying to join us all together. I think that's the important thing here. This is a little bit of a rough patch for us as far as the confidence part of it, of making plays and being consistent with our game. So we just can't split up, and so I guess in a general message to everybody, those meetings we're all going to come together and try to help one another, as I was just explaining to Tom. So yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but we got to chip away at it. All we can do is just try to get better, and the only way we're going to get better is to help one another out. That's coaches, players, managers, right on through.
John, this is maybe a facet of all that we're talking about here, but can you or do you want to rely on your leadership group as well in this search for confidence?
Absolutely. I think one great point, or one, I think, a road that we're going down after we had those meetings is we're trying to give the ball to them, to the players. And it's a tough thing for a coach. Coaches want control, and they want to be involved, and they want to direct. The hardest part of our job is when you need to back out and let them run with it a little bit. That's kind of where we're at right now, and I think the players want to solve this. We're going to help them, but they want to feel good about themselves. They want to solve it and do it together as a team. And sometimes they need a little bit of that leash to do that. So that's a read we have to make as coaches. And sometimes we make the right read, sometimes we make the wrong read. Just like they make mistakes on the ice, we make mistakes as coaches.
Knowing your group, what kind of indicators will you look for tonight and every night? How do you know they're confident? What's the difference between a confident team here or a team that lacks confidence?
Yeah.
Body language, other things?
Yeah. Well, I think body language comes after. Body language is an important thing, but I think in a general sense of answering that is just, I think you can see when they allow themselves to play. They're not thinking, they're not hesitating, they're just making plays. Let's get the offensive part of it. Just the flow of it offensively, that it's just instinctual. And I think that's when you can see they've settled themselves down mentally, that they're allowing themselves to play. And then I think the body language comes into it. The camaraderie comes into it. So it's the confidence part of the game. It's a mental part of the game. It's one of the most intriguing parts of it because there's no, as I've said to you guys, there's no certain switch you can turn on. There's no, all right, I'm going to push that button. This should work. It's different for each individual, and each individual has to find it. Then it's got to join in as a team. So it's pretty cool to see it come together, but it's not always there. And we're not the only team that goes through it. And that's going to be up and down all year long. That's just the way athletes are. But we're going to try to help one another get through it.
I don't know if you heard this morning or not, Joel Quenneville in Chicago was released from his job. As somebody who's won the Stanley Cup yourself and competed for it, multiple times, the job he did in Chicago, could you just maybe comment on his tenure there and what he was able to accomplish with the Blackhawks?
Yeah, I mean, that's a terrific coach. That's a terrific coach and a terrific person. Again, I'm not in the. It's certainly for me not to question or talk about any other organization. I'll talk about the individual. I know Joel very well. He has done a terrific job, and to have 3 rings in your back pocket and coach some players that there's some personalities that come along with it. I just think he's done a terrific job, and I just wish him and his staff nothing but the best. Coaches kind of, we don't have a union. It's just kind of us, and we get together at the draft and kind of bullshit a little bit, and that's kind of our union is at the draft. I'm always, Johnny Stevens, another guy that has done terrific things for many organizations, but we all know it's part of the job. And I wish them both the best. And Joel's a good man. Okay.